welcome to my page, The Redeemed Life. My name is Miranda Brandt. I'm an author and formerly a blogger. I'm now trying my hand at vlogging. So I'm going from something I'm very comfortable with, which is writing out my thoughts and ideas and revelations and trying to verbalize them. This is going to take some practice. So thanks for sticking with me and giving me a chance. Because it's going to take some practice for me to get used to this. It's not very comfortable for me, but we're going to give it a try anyway. So a little bit about myself. I am an author. I write fiction. I published a couple of books, self-published a couple of fiction books, both of which I have taken off and doing some major edits. And then this May, I'm coming out with my first nonfiction book called The Deconstruction Diaries, Leaving Religion and Finding Jesus. As you can tell, it's like my 2-year journaling process through deconstructing from all of the religious trappings and churchianity and just finding Jesus amongst the whole mess. And he was really the one who led me out of that whole thing. And it was a wonderful but trying time. But anyways, that's coming out in May. But I kind of wanted to just start talking and inviting people in to be with me and just to be transparent about where I'm at with my walk and with my journey, especially after deconstruction. Where do we go from here and what does that look like? I think a lot of us know what church looks like and, all that. You go to church and you pray and you do this and you do that. And there's all these people out there, teaching and, but what about just talking and conversating with each other about, just honesty and what we're going through and the thoughts that we have and the struggles maybe or the good things and the happy times, all of it. And I'm not gonna lie, that's a challenge for me because I've kind of been one of those people who is very I played everything close to the chest, and I would never allow myself to be vulnerable or open or transparent, So here we are. Thanks for joining me. I think I wanted to start off the first session with talking about changes because these last few years have been huge for me in the change department. And it's not something that was forced, because I think religion especially tries to force change on you, coming out of church where it was always, a bunch of spiritual disciplines and do's and don'ts and, you don't smoke and you don't drink and you don't watch this program and you don't engage in this behavior, but you do this, this, and this. It's just this list, of do's and don'ts and how you should and shouldn't be, and that's what makes you holy, and that's how your change is going to come, but it doesn't work that way. And we find that out the hard way, and that actually causes a lot of stress and anxiety. I suffered with anxiety for a very long time. And to be honest with you, the whole religious process just made it worse. This is Daisy, everybody. Say hello. You can come over here and hang out, okay? So, but change shouldn't be that way. There's this book by Andrew Womack called Effortless Change. And, I would read that and be like, how? What's the answer to effortless change? So the deconstruction process was a huge change for me. And coming out of that was very challenging and difficult because you are programmed day after day, and at least for me, I pounded teachings and sermons all the time, and it was just about, all the things that you should and shouldn't be doing. And so coming out of it was a kind of a challenge. It was difficult, but finally getting through that process has been very liberating. And then change comes easier after that, which is how it should be, and even change in everyday things. So, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, not just I'm free and I don't have to do this, this, or this, but it's just when you're free of all of the constraints and the do's and the don'ts and the task mastering and the burdens and, false responsibilities that are placed on you, everything else falls into place and you can just be led into change, and it really is effortless. So aside from the spiritual changes that I've had, let's just be honest and frank, I went through the change last year. Nobody warned me that it was going to be kind of a thing. I my body was probably the most notable thing that was the worst for me. You know, one day I woke up and I literally did not recognize myself. I'm not lying, it happened overnight. I woke up like my consciousness was transferred into somebody else's body. It didn't feel like me, it didn't look like me. It was very disconcerting, to be honest with you. And I got mad. I was infuriated, you know. And I turned 50, you know, and let it just be said that I really don't care what the world tells you, or, you know, what the commercials say, what anybody says. I refuse to give into the whole get older and fall apart mentality. I think that's bull. That's what the world feeds you, and I refuse to give into it. You know, I think that that's fatalistic. That's like rolling over and giving up and letting age have its way with you. And, you know, people, oh, my bones, oh, my back, oh, my eyes are just getting worse, and I'm going to need bifocals. Well, you go right ahead. I'm not going to fall. I won't do it. You know, I think especially as people, you know, someone who's connected to Christ, like, shouldn't we have that life flowing through us? Should we be getting better with age? That's what I think should be happening. I don't think that we should be falling apart. I think we should be getting better and getting stronger. Like, that life should manifest in our bodies, you know. And this whole thing with, you know, women embracing their gray hairs and letting it grow out. Well, you go right ahead if it makes you feel better. To me, I tried it. It made me feel old. I personally like it. So, you know, that's good for you. But I refuse to slide into that and just allow it to happen, to be honest with you. I won't embrace it. You know, we weren't created to die, you know, but we're also connected now to the eternal one, to life itself. We're connected to Jesus. And so should this not have a bearing in our bodies? That's just me personally, you know. I just won't be one who goes down that path, at least not without a damn good fight. So anyways, that being said, I did do some things. I was led to do some things. Let's put it that way. You know, in the past I tried quitting smoking, and then I didn't quit smoking until I started walking with the Lord, and then it just happened. You know, but these changes that were implemented in my life to combat the change, what did I do? I changed the way I ate. I was led to change some of the things that I was putting in my body and being more conscious of what I was doing. Not in a super strict sense, because I think that food can be religious as well. You know, you got those people who are just meatitarians or vegetarians or vegans, and, you know, that becomes religious in and of itself. It becomes a bondage. You know, I personally know about food bondage because, confession, at the age of 11, I was afflicted. I got ARFID is what it's called, it's avoidant restricted food intake disorder. And so for me, food for most of my life was a bondage, because, you know, there's certain things you can or can't eat based on texture or whatever. I won't go into that, but food can become a bondage. You know, just diet can be a bondage, you know, or in supplements can be bondages. But, you know, if you know, what are you going to do if you go somewhere and you don't have exactly like all of your vegetables or all of your pills or whatever the case is? You know, are you going to die? Is your body going to fall apart because you don't have exactly that thing? No. It's just being more mindful of what I was putting in my body. No, I had a penchant for potato chips. I'm not going to lie. I love potato chips, and I quite literally ate them every day for lunch. Hummus, potato chips, it's a great combination. Salt and vinegar hummus. If you haven't tried it, you should. But anyways, so I quit potato chips, and I actually tried to remove most foods or anything with like vegetable or canola oils in them, because they are really not good for you. That's rancid oils, and, you know, it's not a natural fat. You know, it's a created substance. I've tried to put more natural things into my body and less chemical things. And I use more butter in my cooking now, and I try to get more protein. I also now make my own granola bars. I make homemade breads and just stuff like that. And I do it because I like it and I enjoy it. You know, I'm not doing it because, you know, everything is poison. But I just have, and I've actually been enjoying being more intentional with my food. It's, like I said, it's not a bondage. You know, it's been very easy transition. It's not like I'm having to or not having to. I do love ice cream, and I'm a sucker for an Oreo cookie. But I will tell you that Newman's, they make Numinos, those Oreos, their Oreos are far better, like 1,000 times better than the real thing. So if you get a chance to spend some money on the Numinos, it's really well worth it. And I only have like one a day with my ice cream. But anyways, I started drinking more water and tea and less coffee. I was a huge coffee drinker. Like when my husband and I were kids in our early 20s, we would have a pot of coffee on like all day long. Drink coffee like all day. That was it. That was it. I wouldn't really drink a lot of soda, but coffee, my drug of choice. Not gonna lie. I was a sucker for lattes. I started off with mocha lattes, then I transitioned to vanilla lattes, and sometimes I would go 2 or 3 times a week, and those get expensive. But yeah, I loved lattes. And, you know, as I moved into perimenopause, sorry guys if you're watching this, it happens, I lessened my amount of coffees and I tried to drink more water. But now I only go once in a while as a treat to get a coffee, and I'll like drink some herbal teas, which it's more like fruit teas. I like pomegranate and raspberries and that kind of a thing. I can't do like chamomile and all those crazy herbal things. I think it's like, I can't choke it down. I've tried. I do just a decaf tea at night as I wind down. So that's how I changed some of the things that I did in my diet. And I do find that I feel a little better. I started moving more and exercising. You know, I was always a very active person. I had a job where I was on my feet all the time. But I was also one of those kind of people, like I coming out of an anxiety mentality, I was always moving. It was just a thing. I was kind of a stress type A personality, like very driven, performance oriented. So that helped. You know, you can't sit still because you feel guilty about it, right? But I quit my job a couple years ago and moving into this place of rest and not moving as much physically in general, it takes a toll. You know, you weren't meant to be, is it sedentary, and sitting on your butt all day long. You should be active. And I live in a place where winter is like 6 months long, so it's not like you can really go outdoors and be walking and doing things outdoors all the time. You know, we hibernate up here. But also, let it be said that I've always despised exercise. I can count on less than one hand how many times I went to a gym or I started a workout routine and it lasted maybe a couple months tops. You know, it wasn't my thing. I didn't really like it very much. So, but the honest truth is I also never really felt the need to exercise because I didn't need to. I'm not trying to say that to be like a cocky thing or whatever, but you know, I've always just been of the thin build, and it's never been an issue for me. But now I'm not having a job, and I'm a stay-at-home writer, so I'm less active in general, and then hormones, you know, played a part on my body, and it did a number on me, and it's because I wasn't prepared, honestly. I didn't know. I really had no idea. So I was led to start a workout routine at home. And, you know, I do stretching, strength training, hand weights, and Pilates. But, again, exercise can also become religious. And I don't do it religiously. I do it, 3 times a week just to make sure that I am still, moving my body and strengthening it and, refusing to fall apart. Because I want to get better with age. I don't want to have a cane and a walker and forget it. Like, no one's going to be lifting me into bed. I don't want to go down there. I see people living that life, and it breaks my heart because that's not what God intends for his people. And, I was at a doctor's appointment the other day with someone in my family, and just seeing all the sick people walking in and out, it was horrible. That's not a lifestyle that I want to succumb to, and we shouldn't have to. But that's a whole other story. But I've been happy to report that I'm keeping up and seeing progress and seeing very good changes, and that's encouraging in a lot of different ways. I scrapped almost all of my commercial skin and hair care products. I do more natural things now. I do shampoo bars and natural oils for moisturizing, and I still color my hair, not gonna lie, but I do ammonia-free coloring, and I use a little bit of makeup. My goth eyeliner I will never give it up. You can't. It won't happen. And I do have a couple of hair products, nothing crazy, but I just didn't want to suffuse my skin with tons of chemicals every single day. And to be honest with you, I didn't really see a difference in what I was using, spending all this money on like oil of Olay, and it didn't really make a difference to me. So why am I going to spend all that money? And another change that came about was I just became more mindful and aware and more present in my everyday life. And, being someone who used to suffer severe panic and anxiety attacks, honestly, that was a transition that I never thought I would be able to make. Life was always waiting for the next moment or the next day. Those other moments held the possibility or the promise of, not feeling bad. If you've never suffered anxiety or panic attacks, you don't get it. You know what I mean? It's just, you're in the moment, you feel bad, and you're waiting for the next moment, and you're never present because there's always just this underlying tension that just never goes away. Even when you're having a happy moment, which is always temporary. It's never a permanent thing. It's an emotion. It's not settled. You're always unsettled. You were always waiting for those moments of no anxiety and no fear and no panic attacks, no symptoms, because, anxiety and panic brought physical symptoms. It does a number on your body, and so those were just fleeting passages of time that never lasted, and I had no rest and no peace, and just a constant state of tension, like I said, and always waiting for the shoe to fall. So, for me to now be in this place where I am just at rest and at peace, and I can just sit in my chair on the front porch and enjoy the sunshine, or, take a nap if I wanted to, or just enjoying my life and be present with my husband. I have regrettable times where I wasn't present because, I wasn't present with my kid enough, or my husband, or with my friends, or just in general, even with God. I was always trying to get past to the next moment and not enjoying any of my life or the journey. And I know like I said, religion added to that. It made it worse for me. I never suffered anxiety or panic as much as I did as when I was entrenched in churchianity, to be quite honest with you. It was intensified 100-fold. I went through a period of, I lost a lot of weight. I wound up going to the emergency room because I was having all these crazy symptoms, and that was all because of fear and anxiety. I lost sleep. I had insomnia very badly, and I never had those types of things prior to walking with God. It was only after I started, going to church and, doing the try hard life of Christianity when things got that bad for me. So I just can't thank God enough for bringing me out of that and just leading me through the whole process of deconstructing and just getting rid of all of that to finally come to this place of rest and peace, and change now is effortless. I don't have to try anything. It's like when you're more aware of Him and your union with Him and that you're one with Him, He's not outside of you. He's not separate from you. You are not separate from Him, and how much He loves and cares for you and wants the best for you. And if you're just listening, if you can get quiet into that place of rest, and it's easy to just be led to have these changes. It wasn't something I was like, oh, I got to lose weight and I got to do this. No, I would like to. And then you come into these like these little pulls, and it's just easy. And my cat agrees. She totally agrees with me. So, that being said, it's just, when I couldn't imagine effortless change, it does happen, and it's possible. And if I can do it, if it can happen for me, it can happen for you. And I guess that's just what I wanted to say, is just, I'm so glad and grateful to the Lord that He brought me here. He gave me a prophetic dream once years ago about a place of rest, and it took me a while to get there, but it was only when I let everything go and just set down all of these preconceived notions of what holiness is and grace and, who I am and who He is. And He really showed me who He was when all of those blinders were removed and the scales were taken off my eyes, and I was face to face with Him finally. I have life now, and it's a beautiful thing. And change is effortless, and it's beautiful, and it's exciting, and I just look forward to life now. And I just wanted to put that out there and encourage you that even these stupid little things like diet, exercise, and skincare and hair care, and, you know, being able to be still. It may seem simple to some people, but it's not simple to me because these things were always struggles for me, to be honest with you. And that's what I'm here to do, is be honest with you. And I've probably said that about 100 times, but this is my first time out, so thanks for your patience and understanding. But if you have any questions or comments, you know, feel free to leave one down below, or if you can go to my page, mirandabrandt.com, and send me a line and an email or whatever. That would be great. I'd love to hear from you. And I just thank you for joining me today for this message. And I just bless you and pray that you have a wonderful day. And just know, I just pray that you would come to know, truly know who you are in Christ, and just how much you are loved and how treasured you are, and that you don't have to try. Not one bit. Thanks, and have a great day.